Chloe, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. What time is it there in New York at the moment? I didn't even ask that at the start.
Yeah, it's currently 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the day before.
Perfect.
We're like behind time. Yeah.
How good. Well, hello from the future. Let's dive into today because today is about you, Chloe. Let's go straight from the top. Please introduce yourself, the titles you like to go by, and what it is exactly that you do.
For sure. So my name is Chloe. I am a career coach and founder. I started my business, Chloe Careers, about just under 2 years ago now. And I specialize in career coaching through one-on-one coaching, group programs, online memberships. I do content creation, so work with brands such as LinkedIn, Seek, to do content on their pages. And more recently, I've tapped into the AI space. So I build AI tools for job seekers and employers now as well, to streamline their recruitment function. So that's a little bit about me and what I do.
So cool. And what inspired you to go down the career path? Like everyone's got a different story when it comes to career coaching, whether they loved or hated their career, or what was it that kind of triggered you to go down this path yourself?
For sure. So looking at my career history, it is non-linear. I changed my career 5 times by the time I was 30. So went through a few hoops, tried to figure it all out. I did an acting degree. I did a bit of journalism. I thought I wanted to do, I thought I wanted to be an actor. Maybe that's why I do content creation. And then I got into travel sales, did that for a little bit. Then I got into travel sales, and then I went wholesale. And then I went to a recruiter one day who specialized in travel and said, I'm looking for work. Can you help me? And then I told him about what I'd been doing in sales, and he said, have you thought about recruitment? No. Before you know it, they'd hired me and I was in recruitment. So started my recruitment journey, did agency recruitment for a little bit, and then I decided that talent acquisition was more where my interests were, recruiting people for a specific company. So I worked in talent acquisition, and then unfortunately got made redundant. So that was over a couple of years ago now, and went for a few jobs, got offered every job I went for, which I was happy about because this is what I specialize in. So I should be getting every job I go for. But there was just something really missing for me. Something just wasn't clicking. I didn't want to just step into another talent acquisition manager role. I had these opportunities to build recruitment functions, but it just wasn't where I wanted to keep going. And so I took a massive risk, declined all the offers. Keep in mind, I live by myself. I'm single in Sydney and I have a small dog. So I support myself, have to pay rent, and my redundancy payout was quickly dwindling away. But I decided to risk it all and dive into starting my own business. And it's that, standard story. I was sitting on the living room floor, thought, I wonder if people want to know about how to interview properly, how to write a good CV, because in the 6 years that I worked in recruitment and talent acquisition, I see time and time again people that, had an awesome CV, they'd get through to interview, we'd interview them and they didn't know how to interview. Or we'd have someone that had a terrible CV, no LinkedIn, but we're like, oh, they look experienced, we bring them in, smash the interview. So I just wanted to kind of, close that gap for job seekers and career builders. So started up an Instagram and a TikTok page. After a couple of months, I had about 10,000 followers on each. So I thought, wow, there's clearly a need here. And then from there, it just kind of built. I started off just doing like resume reviews for people. Also, while I was doing this and building it from the ground up, I worked 4 casual jobs to get by. So I was like waitressing, driving a van, running events. And this is at age 30, 34, 33. Yeah, that I went back into this. So that was a reality check. I had a waitress since I was at uni. So did that. And then after a few months, Chloe Careers, which was Spillane Consulting or Career Coach Chloe, it kind of took off, and I was working with clients around the globe for their career coaching, and then the content creation picked up. So that's kind of how I fell into all of it, and was also doing freelance recruitment on the side just to consistently keep my hands on the tools while I was educating my audience on what they should be doing in their job search.
So cool. And it's, I mean, you discovered it's so relevant because a lot of the stuff that does seem to flow around social media regarding careers, regarding interviews, CVs, is typically quite surface level. Like it'll give you a couple of do's and don'ts, but there's not really that deeper level or situation depending on the role, the level of seniority, whatever it is. It's obviously evidently needed, and if you nail it, that's someone's career trajectory sorted. So love that. You've already touched on some of the career, like the challenges, obstacles you've already had to leap, like going back to waitressing. Was there anything in particular that was really a thorn in the side that you might not have mentioned at this stage, Chloe?
It was a lot harder than I thought it would be going out on your own. Like I knew it would be hard to do my own thing, but it was so much harder than I realized it would be. I haven't had a day of regret. And, some people might be like, oh, really? But I haven't regretted my decision ever. But there's definitely been days where it has been a challenge. I definitely miss the camaraderie of having an office space or people to work with. You don't have people to vent to as a founder, like when you're as a solopreneur, as they say. You are doing everything yourself. So, from the business admin to the finance, to the marketing, to the business strategy, to the customer interaction, it's all on you. So I think the pressure of that and the effort that goes into that and the energy and your own passion to make it work, you're putting a lot on the line. And I had to very quickly realize that I needed to set really strong boundaries with my life and my work, because it was just taking over everything. And it was impacting, my emotional state, my mental state, my physical state because of that. So I think setting up really healthy boundaries, that was definitely needed. But yeah, it was not like, I had to kind of swallow my pride and check my ego when I, decided to go all in. And I was working at a wedding and I was carrying around a tray of drinks, and someone tried to take the drink off the tray. And I was like, oh no, I'll serve it for you. And he's like, don't worry, darling, I'll make sure you get your paycheck. And I'm like, you don't know who I am. You don't know what I'm doing. And I just had this whole inner crisis of being like, these people just judge you and they have no idea about who you are in your life and all that. So I kind of had to just be like, you know what? These people don't know who I am. They don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here to, earn some extra cash while I'm trying to start my own business so I can pay my rent, pay my bills, feed my dog and feed me, and get by. And, it was only a few months later, as I said, where I actually had a day where I'm like, oh, I don't need to do these side gigs anymore because I'm getting enough revenue from what I've built. So yeah, I guess there were a couple of thorns there for sure.
So cool. And a painful flashback. I not to ever take away anything from parenting, and I can only say this from a place of parenthood, but I think a lot of starting your own business is definitely the learning curve in that initial 3 to 6 months is very similar to your first child, where you think it's going to be, X expectation, and it always ends up being Y, and that journey is never linear. It's a big roller coaster. So
huge.
Always props to anyone who takes that leap of faith. You've already mentioned, I guess, all of your background and experience there. So maybe some more around the pillars of how you set things up. What would you describe as what sets you apart from the other career coaches in particular in that way, maybe, Chloe?
For sure. I think I did touch on this a little bit, but my hands-on experience in the recruitment and talent acquisition space. So I've worked as an agency recruiter and internal recruiter, and I've built recruitment functions. So I've literally designed interview processes, put together hiring functions. I've worked with small businesses on how to uplift their recruitment function. So I've been behind the scenes, and I've also been the candidate that has gone through a real journey of figuring out my own career, going through my own identity crisis, and understanding what my value is, as well as what perhaps isn't my strong suit, and being able to really pitch that, self-promote, and get to a place where I got made redundant. I was given 72 job referrals. So 72 people reach out to me with different job opportunities they wanted to discuss. And then every job that I went for, which was it was about 3 jobs that I interviewed for after my redundancy, and I got offered every single one of them. So that wasn't a fluke. That was a strategy that I'd built and learnt from the experience that I had. So there's that part of it. I think the other part is as well, the way I coach is not transactional in any way. So you can get your CV, your cover letter, your LinkedIn update. You can go to an AI tool and get that done. Like, you know, you don't, I'm going to maybe ruffle some feathers, but you don't absolutely need someone to look at your resume. You can get an AI tool to do that now. I will caveat that with saying the human eye will always pick up things or add elements to it that the AI tool can't. So I will say that it's good to have a mix of the AI tool and human expertise. But so that, you know, I work with people from the inside out. So a good example of that is, especially when we get to interview, like before that, actually, aside from just doing your CV, cover letter, and LinkedIn, we'll work on building your personal brand. So what is it about you that, like, what is your value add to any organization that you're going in? When you're going to interviews, you know, what are the own blocks and barriers that you're facing that are going to come up consistently? Whether, you know, you can have the best CV in the world, the best LinkedIn, but if you don't feel good about yourself, if you have imposter syndrome, if you're lacking confidence, if you can't walk into any single interview room and self-promote yourself, you're not going to get very far. So a lot of the work I do with my clients is kind of removing those blocks and internal barriers that they are actually, you know, preventing themselves from getting to where they want to be. So we do all the transactional bits, but the real transformation comes from the inside out. That's how I like to approach my style of coaching, which is why I do some power hour sessions and things like that. But a lot of the people I work with will work with me for, you know, 2-3 months onwards, because it is quite a process to go through that full transformation.
Yeah, and it's like any skill set. You can't, particularly face-to-face interpersonal stuff, you can't change habits and your response and everything else overnight. It is a long. Anyone that's been through a sales course before, a communications piece, it's usually, you know, 4 or 5 times repetition a week minimum to really get it in. So totally appreciate that timeline too. And yeah, thank you for, again, taking it beyond that surface level. Biggest achievement today, it can be a client win, it can be a financial goal of your own, it can be getting to New York. What's the biggest achievement for you so far?
Yeah, I guess, like, for me personally, getting over to New York was pretty huge. You know, like, I think another thing that I connect to people about is because I've been there. You know, I've been lost. I've been made redundant. I was almost fired once. Like, I've gone through the trenches. And, you know, being able to go out, start my own business from scratch, and then, well, to kind of go back one step, I wanted to come to New York with the company that I was working for because there's an office here, and that was the plan. But then I got made redundant, and I was like, I'm still going to make my New York dream happen. And so I built my business. I got it successful enough into a space where I had interest from the US. So I've come over here. I've built multiple AI tools while I've been over here because I've partnered with an AI developer. I have multiple partnerships that I'm talking through, and this is all something I've done by myself, off my own back. So I think my biggest achievement that I'm proud of is being able to get myself to this point, to be honest. Yeah.
So cool. And yeah, that even a 2-year rapid rise, like it's obviously impressive that you're very tuned into the market. Not only was there a need there, but you managed to hone that in. And then most important of all, tie that back to your own dream and your own goals, because that's, I think, the hardest piece. When people go missing, they can identify maybe a missing market, they can identify their skill set, but if you can't piece the 3 together, it's you're not going to end up anywhere at all. So really cool. And I've given you some time to think on this one. One line, one quote. What's kind of gotten you to where you are today?
Yeah. So I would say, this is not the quote, but just to give people context, I have always been someone that will take the riskier option. I'll always put myself in that high risk place. So that's just my risk profile. But I always have said to myself, I never want to live a life wondering what if. So even if it scares the hell out of me, which a lot of things do, I will always take the leap. I will always put myself in the uncomfortable situation because I know that's the only place that I'm going to get growth. And I've probably lived by that rule since my late 20s, maybe closer to 30. I was like, I never want to be in a situation where I wonder, oh, what if I did take that risk? Or what if I did challenge myself? Or what if I did make that move? Like, I've taken every single leap, move, challenge, risk that I could have. And that's how it's got me to here today. And I've failed along the way. Absolutely. And have been in stressful situations, but I'm here now. So that's what matters.
So good. And it's so important as well. I think comfort's the biggest killer in any capacity, whether it's personal life, whether it's career based. Like, if you're getting too comfortable and you're not looking on the other side, maybe the analogy of other side of the fence is a bit too greedy to look that way. But if you're not actually looking to at least get your bum off the seat and try something new, like, you just stay stagnant. So and evidently you can make that rapid change in 2-3 years if you put the time in. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me. Where's
your
next?
Next kind of 6, 12, 5 years ahead. How far ahead have you looked?
Not sure. Sometimes I'm like just trying to get through the day. No. So I'm coming back to Australia in 2 weeks after being here for 6 months. But while I've been over here, as I mentioned, I've built 3 AI tools. One's to help job seekers, Chloe AI. One's a resume matcher, and then one's a business-to-business tool for supporting recruitment operations. So I'm coming back to establish those business models in Australia, continue building my coaching business, and there's multiple partnerships that I'm in discussions with at the moment. So lots of businessy things happening. And I think with my most favorite part of everything I do is working with my one-on-one clients. That brings me the most joy. So just, working on how I can make my programs, as beneficial as possible to the people that are using them.
So cool. Well, all right. And if there's any other time for a book launch or big speaking events, I'll definitely tune in myself. Really excited for the base goals for the time being. So thank you again for sharing those with us. I love ending with the personal piece. I call it the fast 5 because the idea is just to blurt out whatever kind of comes straight to mind. So all right, we ready to get a little bit personal? Is that okay?
Look, have you seen my Instagram? It's super personal.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Number 1, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh God. Stop. Don't feel that you need to be the same as everyone else. You're going to have a very different path to everyone else in your life, and that's okay.
Cool. And very relevant to many young people, I think.
Yeah.
Who was your teenage celebrity crush?
Heath Ledger.
Nice to keep it Aussie. Good.
I know. So sad.
Favorite podcast you listen to? What's the go-to at the moment?
Do You Effing Mind? That's always been a favorite one of mine, by Alexis Fernandez. Love her.
Bloody hell, it hasn't been suggested yet, so we're keeping the trend going of new podcast suggestions.
Awesome.
Number 4, what music genre gets you in the zone? Can be while you're working, can be at the gym. What's your go-to?
It depends on my mood. I'm very versatile with my music. It could be EDM, like hardcore dance, electronic, or it could be classical or hip-hop. That's kind of where I go. Old school hip-hop. I'm
the same balance. I need like either lo-fi or classical when I'm trying to work, or else I get too the whole concentration focus goes elsewhere. Most important question of all, since we're Aussies, tomato sauce or barbecue sauce?
Tomato.
Me too. I'm gonna have to do runny tally on these. I think it's actually pretty even so far. So I'll really update. Where can readers and listeners find out more? Plug away. Where can they connect with you? Where do you prefer for them to reach out to you, and where can they learn the most from you?
For sure. So you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. You can find me under Career Coach Chloe. You can look me up on LinkedIn. Chloe Spillane is me. I'll have a website. It's under construction, but that will be accessible soon. But if anyone wants to reach out to me, Instagram DM, LinkedIn message, or TikTok message, whatever works for them, all of those mediums are fine. You can access all of my coaching programs, free resources, memberships and trainings through my link in bios. So yeah, pretty accessible. You just look me up and I'm there.
Cool. I'll add in all of those links in the written article itself. So
Cool.
yeah, I'm excited to get this out to the audience. We'll get this out in a couple of weeks' time, and
Thanks,
it's
Jack.
been such a pleasure connecting regardless. Thanks so much, Chloe.
Thanks for having me.